Hey, welcome. We're here at Living Well Cancer Resource Center in the kitchen, and Mary and I have been very busy making a lot of holiday appetizers, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Today's topic is plant-based holiday appetizers and treats. So we welcome you. I'm Nancy Zawicki. I'm a registered dietitian, spend most of my time at the Delnor Cancer Center.
And my name's Mary Zupke, and I'm mostly at the Delnor Cancer Center as well. And happy to be here at Living Well with another virtual Facebook Live for you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. The holidays are upon us, and we just wanted to share some recipes and holiday ideas for your upcoming events. We are trying to offer options that are plant-based and offer good nutrition while tasting good.
So what does plant-based mean, really?
Yeah,
I feel like it's kind of a broad term.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's kind of a buzzword too, I guess you could refer to it as. But plant-based, it represents the Mediterranean diet and lifestyle, and that is an example of a plant-based diet. So it's a way of eating, and it's considered one of the most healthy ways of eating too. The lifestyle part has to do with getting daily exercise, not isolating yourself, being around other people, and staying in touch with family and friends too. It's all part of our whole mind, body, spirit, keeps us going. So the plant-based diet includes vegetables like fresh vegetables, fruit, whole grains, nuts, seeds, beans, and then also it's not vegetarian. It does include poultry, fish, and some red meat too.
Yeah, I think that's the confusing part for some people.
Yeah,
they're not sure that that's included.
And we also want to just say that we want you to have protein, and feel free to have some red meat. Usually people with like rectal or colon cancer might limit red meat to maybe 2 to 3 times a month, but other cancers can have it once or twice a month too. Just watch the portion. Plant-based does mean eating more whole foods, less processed. So again, it's fresh vegetables, fruit, whole grains, nuts, seeds, beans, the protein sources, and really doing more of your own cooking so that you get away from using processed foods. And the benefits of eating this way is for better weight control. It helps control diabetes, prevention, or even if you have heart disease, it's good for that. And also decrease cognitive decline, and can also help prevent cancer as well. But I think the weight control is too, like so many times people will say, oh, what can I do? I'm trying to lose weight. We always start with the Mediterranean diet, and then portion size, moderation are very key, and eating a variety of foods too.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So the other thing is, when you select recipes, there's a ton of good cookbooks out there. Mary and I, we have our favorites. But you know, the recipes, you don't want them to have a big long string of ingredients, and you want them to include fresh vegetables and all the things we just mentioned, and using healthy fats like olive oil. We want to cut down or try to avoid the use of salt and use more fresh herbs, vinegars, olives, what else?
Yeah, I mean, just greens in general.
Olive oil, onions, garlic to give flavor, and then try to have some meatless meals using beans and legumes to get some protein. So.
And we have some of those ideas today, which will be fun to see. Yeah.
So Mary, I have a question for you. So how can we add some of the anti-inflammatory foods to our holiday table?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of tags along with what you were saying, Nancy. The anti-inflammatory foods are more fruits and vegetables in general. What we found is, you've probably heard of eating from the rainbow or eating lots of color. The lots of color really makes a difference because that adds your nutrition. So that the more color you have, the more nutrition you're going to have, because each of those colors provide different nutrients. So the anti-inflammatory foods, kind of like you were saying, help disease prevention, cardiac, cancer, diabetes, and so including those. The other thing is, some spices like turmeric, cinnamon, those can be included in that anti-inflammatory category as well. And then just getting fresh fruit. We have some fruit ideas today. We have a big spread, so we're going to show you. So some of those berries, getting in some greens, leafy greens, as well as the cruciferous with the broccoli and cauliflower. So all of those are going to be part of that anti-inflammatory, and getting a variety is good, and eating local if you
Yeah.
can is really helpful. So getting things that are in season. Right now we've got all those beautiful squashes, the delicata, the acorn, the spaghetti squash. So all of those will be helpful too.
So Mary, I want to just mention too is when you do use all that fresh produce, you're going to be so amazed at how beautiful your dishes look. It's nature. Nature's done it for us, and it makes it enticing to go that route, to eat that healthy way.
I agree.
Yeah.
And it makes your plate so beautiful. So you really want to kind of look at your plate and say half of my plate being fruits and vegetables. So a lot of times when we think about holiday spreads or holiday appetizers, we don't see a lot of fruits and vegetables on there. So we have some ideas for you.
And also, if you do have a holiday spread and include those fresh vegetables and all, your guests will be happy because they don't want to indulge in all the high-fat foods either because they're trying to be careful.
But it's okay to have some treats.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
we
yeah.
have chocolate. So it's okay to have treats in moderation, but kind of fitting that in like you said, just
Moderation is key.
smaller
Yeah.
portions. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to first talk about charcuterie board, and we might even have to stand up and show you a little bit here. So how can we make our charcuterie board healthy?
Well, first off, I just wanted to explain what a charcuterie is. Probably a few years ago, it became out there, like really popular, and some people might
Still
say,
seems to be popular. Yeah.
some people might say, oh, it's a cheese and meat platter. We've been doing this for years. But it does have a fancy name. It's a French word, and it does mean assorted meats like prosciutto, bacon. I've even seen bratwurst sliced thin after it's cooked, salami. And, you know, if you're doing a charcuterie board and you're trying to do more plant-based, there might be a few guests, like if you have big sons like we do, they kind of look for some of that meat. So you can still have some of it on your charcuterie, but you know, you don't have to indulge in it, you know, if you don't want
Right,
to.
and there's still some, like we have today, we have some nuts, we have some beans, so there are other ways to
Yeah.
get some good protein. Yeah.
So the charcuterie board, it's a really fun way of eating. You'll see here we've got a big charcuterie platter. I found mine in Douglas, Michigan. Just we were out vacationing and it was handmade and I love it. So we'll bring it out once in a while. And Mary has one too. She has a big long one, which is cool too. So there's different shapes and sizes. But we'll talk about that more. But some people refer to the charcuterie as the best party guest because it makes you mingle and gives you interaction. So I like
I like
that.
the nibbling too, where you can have a lot of different foods,
Yeah.
and you know, you
Yeah.
don't just have one appetizer, you have kind of a variety, and yeah.
And they can be different sizes. We were at a bed and breakfast in Galena back in June, and so they did offer us, like around 4 o'clock on the patio, we got our own plate for two. And it was very simple. One that was so cute, and I should have put it on here. It's just a little bowl with fresh raspberries with dipped or filled with dark chocolate, melted dark chocolate. And then they just had some cheese and some cucumber with tomato. It was
Well, and
lovely.
we know dark chocolate has some good properties,
Yeah.
especially over the 70%. So we're going to
Yeah.
talk a little bit more about that today.
So we have a few cookbooks here too. We'll show them to it towards the end, but it's like beautiful boards. It gives you more ideas. So if you want to do some themed charcuteries, like a taco theme or breakfast theme or taco, well I said taco, but I guess I want to do that one. But a bagel board. So you can just come up with your own theme and turn it into that. It's everything's assembled.
Yeah, I think I've
so.
even seen like a pizza one or
Yeah.
yeah.
So Mary, what are some ideas for holiday displays for a charcuterie board?
Yeah, well, maybe we can show
Yeah,
you.
let's get up.
Yeah, let's show you some that we have here today. So one that we have here is really simple, and let's see if I can hold it up, or there we go. So you can see that it's just broccoli and these are grape tomatoes, but you could use cherry. And then I used a little star cookie cutter to just cut a little star for the top, and this is like a yellow pepper. And you can either use red pepper or, you know, little red tomatoes for the end. And then this dip that I have with it is a cannellini bean with fresh rosemary and garlic. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about that. The cannellini beans are a variety of beans that are very creamy. So when you're when you're making a bean dip, you want to start with the oil in the pan, and then you put in your fresh sage and your fresh rosemary, and you chop that up with the garlic and then the olive oil, and then it perfuses throughout the whole olive oil. And then you pour in your cannellini beans, just the canned. There are some white navy beans and some other beans, but they are not as creamy. So the cannellini is the way to go. And then you can kind of see the consistency. It's really creamy and tasty. So that's a great way to get some plant-based protein and some fresh herbs, so they have some good nutritional value too. And then the other idea for getting some fruits and vegetables into our spread kind of shows this little wreath here where it's very simple, just tomato, mozzarella balls, and then we use arugula, but you can also add fresh rosemary around the outside or do cucumbers. And then I've seen sometimes where people will even use a bow to put the on the edge so it really looks like a wreath. So you can put little pesto on there or vinaigrette. But I think it's really festive, and like Nancy was saying, it's really got the green and the red, and it's giving you that nice variety. So I love that, yeah. So Nancy, what are some ideas for a holiday spread?
I might come over there, Mary. You
Yeah.
grab your water. Okay, so so instead of meat, we chose to use 3 different cheeses, and the recommendation for a serving is about 2 ounces per person. So you can kind of estimate what that would be. And you can choose whatever you like. Like we have here Jarlsberg. This is a Havarti with dill, and then cheddar cheese. And I got these all at Trader Joe's. They have such wonderful cheeses and good prices. But you can do Gouda, a cheddar Swiss, string cheese even, whatever you like. And then if you wanted to put a little meat, you can. You don't have to. We also include some nuts, pecans, walnuts, Marcona almonds, pistachios. We have some spreads like a little mustard. This is a pepper jam, and then this is a fig jam. And it is nice to have those on there. So if you're having some crackers like we've got over here, you know, you can put some of that on and enjoy whatever else you want to include. And then pickled vegetables, like you can do olives. And Mary, how do you say these pickles?
Yeah, I think they're cornichons. But the French would have to show us the real pronunciation.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can also do a pickled red onion if you'd like. Vegetables, like we've got, well, we can include carrots, celery, cucumber slices, broccoli, cauliflower, red pepper strips, and have some dips. And then, well, Mary will talk more about the fruit and that. And then just some garnishes, like we put some rosemary on here just to make it more beautiful. And then we have different crackers. And then I wanted to mention too, like, so with the charcuterie, you can just use this platter here if you wanted, just for your spread, depending on the number of people.
Yeah.
But this is my charcuterie board, and when you wash it,
Yeah.
you can wash it, but then you have to season it again. And this board is food safe, so it doesn't have a varnish on it. But they gave this to me when I bought it. It's Butcher Block Conditioner. So that's what you're going to put on to restore the wood and keep it nice looking. So if you just had like a plank that you thought, oh, I could use this, and it's varnished, it's not food safe. So you don't want to put food right on it, but you can very much put different platters on there, and that would look really cool.
I like these little dishes too, because it gives you a little bit of variety, and also it keeps like the spreads. There are some boards where they're putting the spreads right on the board now, but I kind of like it this way so it doesn't mix together for people that want certain ones and certain flavors.
Because people don't like to get their hands all messy, and I always have like little tongs and little spoons I put out, and you know, even a bowl of popcorn. Or even like these nuts, but I would put a spoon in it, because with this day and age, with our trying to be, you know, COVID prevention, it's good to have people spoon it onto their plate and not put their hands in it.
Yeah, I like how you put the pomegranate here too. I think it's so pretty. You know, you just cut it in half, and you've got that beautiful red color. And this time of year is when we have these fresh pomegranates.
I always say it matches my ring. And then also just a big red pear. You can keep it whole, or you can slice it. It just adds so much beauty. We probably would have loaded this up more, like the red grapes, but we were scrambling here towards the end. We were just so busy. So Mary, I just wanted to ask you, what are some holiday recipes that are healthy and easy to make?
Yeah, well, we talked about the cannellini bean recipe, and that's really good. I also like to use, sometimes with dips, you can use a 1% cottage cheese. And if you put it in a food processor, it blends up really nicely. I have an artichoke dip that's, it's actually on our website. So you can check the Living Well website, the culinary nutrition section. And we have loads of recipes for all different things, especially the holiday ones and the ones that we're doing today. But the artichoke dip uses a large container of the 1% cottage cheese, a can of artichokes that are just not marinated, and then about a half a cup or a third of a cup of Parmesan cheese, a little dash of red pepper. It's a great dip, and you can use it it's about 1/3 the calories of like a cream cheese sour cream dip. But also the cottage cheese has a little more protein, so you are feeling a little bit more full, which is awesome during the holidays. Yeah. So that's another dip that we used to like to use at our family a lot.
And the hummus is giving you protein too from the beans, so that's good.
Yeah,
protein
exactly.
Here.
I love that. Yeah. I like too that we have that fresh rosemary in there. And when you're here, if you can just imagine smelling that rosemary.
Yeah.
It smells so good. And the bean dip is served warm. You can serve it cold, but warm. It's so awesome. You can put it on a little baguette, or you can just put it on your cucumbers. I wanted to suggest too to have like cucumber chips as opposed to regular chips. So you can do cucumber chips, or you can do carrot chips, and those are going to be fine. And still tasty and give you some of that rainbow. So that's
I wanted
helpful.
to just comment on the bean dip. Mary shared that recipe with me a few months ago, and I made it for our family, and they loved it. And then I served it to book club, and we have one person who's gluten-free. So I was like, oh, I want to make that recipe, and it is gluten-free. And then I just put raw veggies with it, so there was no worry. But at home, I chose whole wheat naan bread and heated it up and cut it into pieces, and that was nice to dip into it. But it's super easy and it's really delicious.
Yeah, it's really versatile. Yeah. So cannellini, that's the word you want to remember for that one.
So I'll talk about our, we've got some other recipes. This here is stuffed dates, and they're stuffed with pomegranate. So I use the other half of the pomegranate for the arils, they call it. And this is goat cheese. I just got the little package, chevre, whatever, and I kind of beat it up a little with some black pepper and some snipped rosemary. And then I threw in the pomegranate, and then I actually got the majoli dates that were pitted. So I just had to make a little slit, and then I opened it up and filled it with the goat cheese mixture, and then just made sure I had enough little pomegranates on top, and then pistachios. And all those, the pistachios and the pomegranates on the anti-inflammatory list too. And then I just garnished it. And then I garnished it with the rosemary. So that's one thing. And then these, kind of similar, I found it on Pinterest. It's kind of a nice little resource. But it also is goat cheese, but they said also to mix some light cream cheese with it, because sometimes people find goat cheese too overpowering. So I thought this is okay because you got the sweet with it, but I thought I'll try that.
Yeah, it's a small amount with the date,
So I beat that up. I'm doing a lot of beating here. And then just put on a sheet pan, chopped up pecans, and I chose to use dried cherries. I just love dried cherries. And then the fresh parsley, and then just take a scoop of that cheese mixture and roll it in. Don't have to do much. And I just put in these little papers. And I saw something cute too. You can take a stick pretzel and stick it straight in, so it's a little easier to eat too. But I thought they looked festive, and then you could use a holiday plate with it.
Yeah, I really like those. And then should I talk about the
dates? Well, I got one more recipe. Okay. She's very anxious to share. But these are really good. They're roasted almonds, and you put a little maple syrup, a little bit of honey. I used herb de Provence in addition to the smoked paprika and then fresh thyme, and then you just heat them up. Now, it called for raw almonds and you have to bake them, but I was like, I'm just gonna get roasted because they're so good. And I just did mine in a skillet on top of the stove. So I kind of revised the recipe a little, but they're actually glazed, so they got a little stickiness to it, but very delicious. So they're like a glazed almond. And yeah, so Mary, what about some sweet things to offer?
Yeah, I was just going to say too, when she was cooking these almonds, we had these once before. It makes the whole kitchen smell really good because of that fresh rosemary.
Yeah.
And you know, that's something nice to remember too. Like even, I was having some friends over putting some apple cider on the stove with some cinnamon sticks and some cloves and some nutmeg, and all of a sudden your whole kitchen smells good and you've got a warm punch ready to serve. And so, yeah, so something sweet. I
Those
made
look beautiful.
these little dates are just a pecan. Mine are a little simpler, but this is a family recipe that we had, and they are just a half of a pecan in the middle of the date, and then you roll the date in a little bit of sugar, but you don't have to. They keep for a while. So
and then we were like, how can we garnish this? And then we're like, wait, we got some leftover pomegranate.
Yeah,
so
so
it's
we-
kind of fun, that creativity you can experience.
yeah, so we put the
Yeah.
pomegranate arils in there to make it look pretty, and they probably taste good with it too.
Yeah.
But something to remember, the U.S. dietary guidelines say to have less than 6 grams of sugar per serving. So these would be well within that, and you want to kind of look at your label and say, look at the added sugar and say, okay, does this have less than 6 grams? Now that doesn't mean you can't have a treat at sometimes, but it's good to know overall where your sugar's coming from. So so just check the added sugars and look for less than 6 grams
You
per
want to do your
serving.
hummus?
Yeah, so the other sweet thing that we have today is this chocolate hummus. And you can see here there's some chocolate chips on top, and there's some kind of throughout. And we have some different things for dipping, the strawberries, the pretzels. You could do graham crackers too. But it's mainly chickpeas. And then you add a little bit of tahini, or you could add some kind of nut butter, peanut butter, or sunflower butter if you have a nut allergy. And then you blend that together with just a little bit of maple sugar, maple syrup. And even though it's chocolate, Nancy, it still is giving you some protein. So that's kind of nice, where you're getting some protein, but it's a little bit of sweetness.
And some antioxidants too.
And
from the
yeah,
dark
and some
chocolate.
antioxidants, yeah. And it is part of the plant-based diet because you're getting those legumes, which is nice. So those are a couple of sweet things. And then Nancy has a sweet
Yeah.
one to
So
show.
I melted this down. I don't have a double boiler here, which is totally fine. I just used, I might have it right here. I used a pan like this, and I filled it like that much water, and then I took a glass bowl and set it right in there. So you've created a double boiler, and then I just put a bag and a half of the dark chocolate chips. We're actually using that 75% cacao. So I let that melt, and then I just on a sheet pan with a parchment paper or wax paper and poured it all in. And then I was like, wait, what do we have left over? Oh, dried cherries, pecans, pistachios, and even if you had pretzels broken up, you can do that. So it's really anything goes. And then I put in the refrigerator to get hard, and then we can just kind of break it up to serve. So that's one thing. And then, let me see over here. I'll just come around. Okay, so when Mary and I were planning this, I said, oh, I have a cute little fruit idea. And it's a green grape. And then she goes, Nancy, that's a Grinch Santa. And I'm like, oh no. But I liked it because it's all fruit. And I think kids would really like it. And it's on a little skewer, but with caution, you know. But I could just see that, you know, because kids are going to be involved in your holiday gatherings to have something for them. And then, Mary, you made...
Yeah, just these, they're little Santa banana strawberry little Santa guys, and so you use a big marshmallow in there, so there's a little bit of that, and then a tiny marshmallow for the top. And then, you know, it's just something that the kids can do. You can put them on skewers easy enough, and even though there's a little bit of marshmallow in there, there's some banana, there's some there's some Grinch grapes in the other one, and so you can serve that on a platter. You can just have the kids make them. And
So before we get too far along, I mean, we're almost done, but I wanted to show you, these are the cookbooks I was referring to. Like, this is really neat. It shows a lot of the different themes. And then here's another one Mary has. And you'll see them all around in the different stores. But it gives you ideas and inspiration.
This one's called Boards and Spreads, so there's lots of different ideas in those.
And the Forest Feast has a whole variety of cookbooks too, and they're all over. But they have pictures, and that's what I love about cookbooks with pictures. That's what I'll buy. I don't get them with just words. I need the picture to inspire me.
It does inspire you to have, and I think as you looked at some of the things we had today, we had a lot of color and inspiration. Yeah, so this is
Go ahead.
This is a tradition that we have in our house. Growing up, my mom used to have these jars on the mantle, and she had 10 jars. I only have 7. But she would fill them with holiday treats, and as soon as December started, you could go on the mantle and get some of our treats, and everyone had their favorites, and it's super fun. So I change out the decoration if I want with the different decor on the mantle. But it doesn't always have to be sweet. It could be the dates. Those are one of my favorites.
Or make your own crackers.
Yeah, you could do your own cheese
Chex
crackers,
Mix.
Chex Mix. My mom used to like doing that. And then also you could have just nuts.
Yeah, when Mary shared me this holiday tradition, I've known about for a while. We talk a lot, we work together, and I thought it was so neat. And then I said, what about the crumbs? And she goes, we have a dog. Because we have a big golden, I could just see her like, go get a treat someone. Yeah, they want the crumbs.
Yeah.
But
I have 3 boys, so there were crumbs, but it was still a fun family tradition.
But I was going to say, it is like, this weekend I'm going to start figuring out what cookies to make and what holiday gifts. But this time of year is a good opportunity. Maybe you don't want to do a lot of baking. Maybe you're concerned, like, I don't want it around the house. It'll tempt me. But you can also make some little gifts for people. Like, maybe there's people that have helped you this year, or like even the postman or Amazon driver. They work so hard. And if you have like a little basket near the front door with some goodies, it's just a nice little gesture to give someone something, if you want to. But I think this time of year is really fun to have things around, and it'll put a big smile on people's face. So, I don't know, I think...
Yeah, I think we're about ready to summarize.
Yeah.
The time goes really fast, so thank you so much for joining us today. We hope we gave you some anti-inflammatory Mediterranean tips for appetizers and a little bit of sweet treats, and you can even use the apple mocktail if you want, or some other ideas for that. Please check the Living Well website for more recipes and some of our upcoming classes that we're coming starting again in January.
So this is the last class for 2022.
That's right.
And then we'll have a new calendar coming out for the next year in the winter season. So we hope you join us.
Yeah, so happy holidays from us,
Merry
and
Christmas.
thanks again, and Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Have a great night.
Thank you.